and the world was clean and still. Western chill, it's what I've been needing. Western chill.
He may not be comfortable with the title, but Robert Earl Keen is a Texas legend. The final stop on his last tour, last forever, he says, was here at John T. Floor's Country Store. But a lot has changed since then. Robert Earl Keen has a new album out, and he will once again be making a stop here at Floor's. In this Spriester session, a bucket list Spriester session, we sit down with Robert Earl Keen to talk about his new album, his favorite songs, and he gives us a tour of his range. Robert Earl Keen, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Talk about Western Chill.
Western Chill. We started it during COVID. I mean, the dark days of COVID, where there was no shows to play or anything, and but I kept everybody on salary and kept them going. So after about 2 months, I thought, well, this would be a good time for us all to get together and like rehearse or just play some songs. So we went up here to this snake barn that we have, and snake
barn. I thought they meant an actual barn that had snakes in it.
It did, used to, but it doesn't anymore. At first, we just sort of played some songs and rehearsed and just kind of got together. And then I was sitting out one night by myself, and I wrote like 5 songs. I don't do this normally, but I wrote like 5 songs in one night, and one of them was this Western Chill song. And I started thinking, it'd be really great to have us as a band do some of their songs, do some of my songs, and mix it up, because those guys are really talented and they also write songs and the whole deal, And so I thought it'd be a great way to show off some of their talent and put something together. What was really magical about it was the songs they brought to the table kind of fit the whole vibe of the whole record, which is really truly a chill record. It's like there's no real huge upbeat songs. There's one song that has, it's kind of a medium tempo song, but everything else is like real easy and slow, and great musically, really great. Sounds really great, and their songs just matched all these songs that I'd written for this Western Chill record, and we put it together, and that was just a huge surprise. And then we went on forward with it and put together a songbook and a graphic novel, and put the DVD in there, and so it's a huge package. It's a big box like this, and has all the stuff in it, and one of those projects that you're really, really proud of when you're finished.
That's what I was going to say. Did you set out to do all these things, or did it just come together?
No, it really came together. It was really it started out as just kind of a thought, and then we put the music together, and the music worked out really well. And then the shooting, we shot it and recorded it all at the same time. So we recorded it live up there. There was no audience, but we recorded it live, and we shot it. We made a DVD at the same time, and so that was the first part of it. But then after that, we started adding these things like these songbooks and the graphic novel and all that, and it became just this big project. It's like I was going, well, what are we going to do with this? So it ended up taking about almost 2.5 years to complete all those different things.
Well, a graphic novel takes forever anyway.
Yeah, it really does. Well, I didn't know anybody that was a really great graphic person or had done any of that. So it took a while to find somebody, and I found this really great guy named Scott Ferris that has this thing called Ferris Wheel Productions up in Lubbock, and he does everything from making records to playing music himself to being a great graphic guy, and he has a whole team. So he actually brought in people and said, does this guy work? Does this person work? Does this person work? And everything he brought to the table was just great quality, high quality stuff.
Maybe I'm reading too much into the title, but now that I'm going to use quote fingers, now that you've retired from touring, from playing, is Western Chill more than just the name of your latest album?
Well, I can see how you could say that, but that is what that's what it is. It is it's the it's the last record that we put out as any kind of like real effort to make a record. There will be in the future like a last one live that comes from Floor's Country Store when we did those three nights at Floor's at the very end, but we haven't gone through that yet. So as far as like the last real like studio figured out and put together record, Western Chill is the one.
That's it. No more.
Not that I can see. Not in the near future anyway. I don't know. I haven't quit playing music, and I haven't quit writing music. So I just don't know what to do with it now.
Well, I think you probably have a pretty good idea, though, if it all comes together like this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know a lot of really good musicians, and the band's still around. They still play around with the other people, so I could get them together pretty easily. But as far as like where I'm going in the future, I don't have a clear vision of that. I always used to call it my vague concept. And I don't have my vague concept worked out yet.
Yeah. No rush.
No rush. There's no rush. Absolutely.
Talk about the concert that's happening at Floor's Country Store on Labor Day and why you decided to do it.
Well, that was the day we did it on Labor Day, the day after I officially retired, and that was an effort to do something for the fans, right? So we had this thing called Fan Appreciation Day on Labor Day. And that meant that every fan that could get in, which was about 2,000, but there was another 2,000 that wanted to get in. So we had to hold a lottery to, make sure that everybody that wanted to get in could get in or had an opportunity. So once they signed up for this lottery and they got in, it was a free ticket for them. Everything was free for the fans, And the idea there was, I hear so many people always like saying, I couldn't do this without my fans. I couldn't do this. And I think, well, what exactly do you do for your fans? So that's how that came about. That was like, let's really do something for the fans, give them a free show. So we had a house band, and we ended up having about 40 artists show up, and they got up and just, they'd play 3 songs, and sometimes they'd play their songs, or they'd play, some old country song or something like that. But, we had, these really, great artists, not just from Texas, but all around, getting up and playing with this great house band that Lloyd Maines put together. So that was, I want to say, that was one of the best things that we did the whole time, because only thing I did was like play a couple of songs at the end of the night. But the fact was all the artists were really cool, because they were like, thinking in terms like, oh, I'm doing something for doing something for our fans. And the fans were just really happy, because like it was some really, really great music. And there's a point where I looked out there, and Ray Benson from Asleep at the Wheel was on stage, and he was singing this old Waylon song called, it was one of those ones about Jimmy Rogers, around the turn came a passenger train, I heard somebody yodeling a hobo-mo. And he was singing that song, and I looked out there, and the sun was going down, and there were people out there just dancing. And I mean, it was like the snapshot from like 1978 or something. The only thing that was missing was glass long necks, right? There were no glass long necks, but people were dancing, and this was just, and Ray was just like killing this song, and that band was just playing the hell out of that song. And it was just so great. And I looked out there, and there's so many happy people just enjoying it. So I called Mark, that owns Floor's Country Store, this year, and said, we ought to, I don't know, this isn't for me, this is for fans. I think we ought to do another one, and I think Floor's should just have one of these kind of things like every year, because, it would be a great annual kind of show, and it's also a real good chance to like really show appreciation for the fans, because, I mean, that does make all the difference. If you've got no fans, you got no show, So I thought that was really great. So that's what we're doing. We're doing the same thing. And we got Lloyd, he put together the same really cool world-class house band. And we've got a bunch of artists that are all signed up and ready to go. And then, even if they're not signed up, there's a lot of them that just show up.
Yeah. It's an open invitation.
Yeah, it's an open invitation.
Do you think this will keep going?
I think it would. I mean, if Mark's into it, I'm still into it. You know, I mean, it is called Robert Earl Keen Presents Fan Appreciation Day, but I think of it in terms of more of a Flores Country Store kind of thing. You know, like because there's just no place like Flores Country Store anymore. I mean, especially that outdoor thing where there's actually space where people can kind of move around and enjoy themselves, and then like go inside. You know, they can go sit down at a table and drink a beer or something there, and they can be outside and listen to music. It's just it's really, really unique and been around 80 years now, and it's just hard to find a place like that.
It's your favorite place to play?
It is my favorite place to play, yeah. And I started playing there way back in the 90s, you know. And I had to really beg them to get in there because back then they were doing almost all like Nashville country acts, and they were doing no Texas kind of stuff. And when I played the time I played, we drew about 1,000 people, and the guy that owned it at the time was shocked. So after that, we just did all kinds of shows. Handsome, how are you doing, Handsome?
Oh, there's one of your fans.
Yeah, Handsome wants to go. He's already joined the lottery.
When you talk about your fans, I mean, I've been to several of your shows. There's a connection there that goes beyond your ordinary show. Am I getting that right?
Well, the thing is that I understand that happens a lot is people sing along with most of my songs, and they know the words to my songs. So, and then, you know, that happens with a lot of bands. But there's a certain amount of like, it's almost every song that they sing to, you know, and so apparently that's unusual. And I don't even, a lot of times I don't even hear it. I mean, people tell me that, but you know, like I'm up there with a lot of sound around me, and so I don't always hear what's going on out there in the audience. But I do know that they sing along.
What's it like for you up there? If you can't hear them, you can see them.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
What's that like?
Well, you know, it's always, that's what you're always trying to do when you're trying to, you know, you're trying, you know, it's about entertainment. You know, and you want to entertain people and have them enjoy the show. So if whatever I'm doing up there is transferring and going to people and having people sing along or jump up out of their chairs and, you know, pump their fists and all that business, you know, then you were doing your job.
Yeah. You announced, well, the last Flores live shows were your last live shows. You're going to play though on Labor Day, and I think you have some acoustic sets that you're going to play. I
have a few shows in some places like in Alexandria, Virginia. There's a great room there that I've played for years and years, and they really wanted me to come do, you know, just wanted me to come by myself and do a solo thing.
Right.
And that's something that I haven't done. I started out doing solo stuff, and I did that for, I don't know, 10 years almost before I ever had a band. And I really enjoyed the whole solo thing. And I thought, well, you know, I hope nobody would consider this me breaking my promise that I'm retiring. But the fact is like I was retiring from touring, and actually I'm not touring. I'm just flying up to Virginia and playing these two shows, you know. So I don't know, you can work it any way you want to work it. But fact is like, that's, you know, that's how they pitched it to me. And I thought, you know, I always loved doing that, and I miss it. And I do miss playing, you know. So being able to have an opportunity to go out there and just play a couple of shows, just to, you know, just play songs, I'm going to do it.
That's what I was wondering. I mean, you obviously you retired from performing and touring.
Yeah, right.
But, you know, you're going to play on Labor Day.
Yeah.
And you're going to play those shows up there. So
right.
I think that's pretty good compromise.
It's a split. You know, I mean, you know, I did have in mind that, like, you know, I was going to call it a day and nothing was going to happen. But, you know, after months and months and months of like sitting around trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing, you know, and all of a sudden I get a couple opportunities. I think, well, yeah, why not? You know, that's what I've done for so long. That's been my life. It's hard to walk away from.
The chair lays out the previously adopted resolution. The clerk would read the caption.
H.R. 102 by Murr, honoring Robert Earl Keen for his contributions to Texas music.
Mr. Keen often weaves together intricate and imaginative narratives in his lyrics. His songs often deal with themes of love, loss, and everyday struggles of Texas life. This style of writing gained him induction into the Texas Heritage Songwriters Hall of Fame, the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame, and the Texas Institute of Letters. Mr. Keen's legacy as a songwriter and performer continues to inspire new generations of musicians and fans alike. The road goes on forever, and the party never ends. Please join me in congratulating Robert Earl Keen on his retirement from touring, but not his retirement from music, and honor him for his outstanding contributions to Texas music.
When you are called things like a Texas legend or things like that, are you comfortable with that title? Are you comfortable with the compliments that you've been given, with the lauds that you've been given, the laurels?
I appreciate the compliments. I really do. And I think that's cool. But you're hitting on something that's really sort of a hard question to answer. In that, the fact is I'm not very comfortable with it. I don't feel like I'm anybody's legend. I mean, legends are Jimmy Rogers and Hank Williams and Willie Nelson. Those people are legends. I just went out and played for years and years and years and put out a lot of records. I think I did a lot of good outside of what I was doing. I did a lot. I was part of a lot of sort of charitable organizations and that kind of thing. But just being a legend, I don't know. I don't feel like I really stand up in that, and I don't stand in those shoes very well. I don't think so.
Well, that's why I asked the question, because I never got the feeling that you were all that comfortable.
Mm-hmm. No. I don't know. It's somehow I'm very comfortable with the fact that I'm a songwriter and that I make people happy when I play music, and but to say that I'm a legend, I don't know. That seems more I don't know, almost a very rarefied air that some people take over and handle it very well. I more or less, what I like doing is playing music and then not being that thing all the time. Not walking around with a big entourage or something. As a matter of fact, I sort of enjoy people not being able to recognize me. And the fact is they don't ever recognize me until I talk. And for some reason, my voice gives me away all the time. I mean, that's it. As long as I keep my mouth shut, people don't recognize me. And I've literally had a guy sitting down writing something, not looking up. And I said, I was wondering if I could buy this. It was at a retail place. And he went, "Oh my God, it's Robert Earl Keen." And then he looks up. He never even looked at me. So he knew just by my voice that that's who I was. So that's what gives me away. So in general, yeah, I just walk around and keep my mouth shut.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's some life advice there.
Yeah.
You're doing an Americana podcast right now.
Uh-huh.
As a matter of fact, I think it's called the Americana Podcast.
Americana Podcast, 51st State.
Is this playing some of your favorite songs?
We work with all kinds of people. I do this with Clara Rose, my daughter, and we pick people. We kind of flip a coin, and she has people that I have no idea who they are, and I rarely have anybody that she doesn't know. She has this encyclopedic knowledge of music. It's scary, but we try to push the boundaries of Americana. The Americana Music Association, which is a great association, they have a lot going on. They do sort of focus on country. And they don't focus so much on things that are way outside the circle of Nashville, really. So that's what we do. We look for a lot of the outliers, you know. So there's some music there that I really don't know at all that we pick, and then there's some that are just I know barely. I've heard of them or I've talked to them before, and I've thought that they were good, and and then you start digging into their past and their and that all their different how they deal with their cats and stuff like that, and find out that these people are really interesting. So then you call them up and put them on, get them on the podcast.
Are you enjoying it?
I love it, except for I don't feel very comfortable being an interviewer. I don't have your chops for sure, and I do all kinds of stuff like I interrupt sometimes, and sometimes I like breathe too loud in the microphone, or go yeah, and try to say yes, and like I've learned all these things that are just like you would think that you would know those just instinctively, but it's a tough job actually.
It's not as easy as people think
It's not as easy as people think it is, and people really take it for granted. So like I try to be better, but I don't think I'm great at it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you listen to today? Like what are the things that you listen to? Like artists or songs or
I listen to a lot of sort of the new Americana, Tyler Childers and Brent Cobb is one of my favorites. I think he's fantastic. Lucero, that band from Memphis, is a great band. Listen to a lot of them. I listen to Betty LaVette. I love her. I think she's really, really great. And we haven't put her on the podcast, but I think she's really great. But it's mostly, I would say, mostly in the country realm, or Americana realm that I listen to. I listen to a lot of classical music as well, and I really like classical music. So those are the kind of things that I listen to.
Now I've gonna confess I've kind of glanced at some of your albums that are over here to the right.
Right.
And some of them I expected.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of them are yours.
Yeah.
But then I also saw, you've got an Elvis Costello in there.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Joe Louis and the Honey Bears, which are not necessarily Americana.
No. Well, like I say, I mean, it's relatively broad, and I like kind of a low end, not real show busy pop music as well, and so. And in general, what I listen for is, I'm very, very in tune to lyrics. So the people that I listen to, like in general, I like the ones that are lyrically really savvy. Lately I've been listening to Gretchen Peters, and that was because I was listening to Jimmy LaFave. Jimmy LaFave and I sort of crossed paths at the same time. We were about the same age, and he was sort of going down and I was going up. And for whatever reason, he never really liked me. So I never really talked to Jimmy. And I listened to him and I liked him. But then, like in the last 6 months or so, I got want to listen to all of Jimmy's stuff, because I just think he's just one of the greatest singers, or I mean, he really knew how to sing, and I'm sorry that he passed away, because I'm sorry I missed a lot of that kind of stuff. I missed, some live shows that he did, and he was a great band leader as well. His bands always were just top notch, but within that, I was listening to this song that I really liked, and I kind of thought, that doesn't sound like his lyrics somehow, so I looked it up, and it was Gretchen Peters, and I didn't know much about her except for that she had a country thing going on back in, I don't know, 2010 or something. Yeah. And then I dived into her stuff, and she's the only person I've ever, whatever they call it on Instagram, where you DM somebody or something, it's the only person I've ever done that to, because I was just like, I got to talk to this person, and she was. And she actually answered me, and I just told her what a great lyricist she was. You know, just really unbelievable lyricist. So I got where I listened to a whole lot of her stuff. But
Now you're making me want to go down that rabbit hole and check her out.
she's fantastic. I mean, she does what is really hard to do, which is she actually leaves spaces between words. She just has this kind of word perfect sense, and then she leaves a space. She doesn't fill it with some word or something. It's just like, and it makes it for the singer. It gives so much more. It gives them so much more breath to be able to sing that kind of thing, you know. And it's just a great, you know, she just really, really is phenomenal.
When you look at your albums and your songs that you've released, do you have a favorite?
Favorite record that I ever
Favorite
released?
record or favorite song, or both?
A favorite song, I really have to point at "Not a Drop of Rain," which was on a record that was not a great record. Actually, it was on Gravitational Forces, and it was I think the first record I did on a semi-major label. It was called Lost Highway, and I don't know. I was just kind of I was off my feed on that one or something. I just didn't have it together. But that song, I really think a lot of. I thought this is a really, really great song that's, you know, has this, you know, it's not so much a story, it's just like a personal, like it's almost like a journal that someone would write or something, and so it captures, you know, this great feeling of loss that this person has, and but records, it's kind of funny. I had such a hard time with this record I made called Picnic that I didn't listen to it until when we were doing our last tour in 22. So in 22, I thought, well, I listened to all my records in 22 because I thought, well, there's songs that I want to like bring back or revisit or whatever like that. And so I listened to all my records, and I got to Picnic, and I thought, oh God, that was so hard. It was really hard. It was so I, you know, I listened to it and I thought, man, this record is really, really good. And so I'd have to say Picnic's one of my favorite, and What I Really Mean is one of my favorite, I think.
We were listening to Picnic on the way up here, actually, because Undone's one of my favorite.
Yeah, that's a
favorite
good one.
songs.
Yeah.
How about when I say the Front Porch Song? I know you probably get asked about this a lot. You and Lyle love it and hanging out at A&M.
Yeah.
I mean, does that have a special place in your heart?
Oh yeah, definitely. Number one, it was like one of the first songs I ever wrote, really, and then also Lyle, you know, he came back and really completed it, and so that was a great moment, just in like a certain friendship that we had, and that whole time there at A&M was really a great time for me because I really learned a lot of music. I didn't do a hell of a lot of studying, but I learned a lot of music. And we had just guys that were just, or girls that just would stop by our house because our house was only 2 blocks away from the campus. So there were tons of people that were coming by, and there were all kinds of people that played music, and they'd stop and play. And, you know, that's actually how I met Lyle. Is he was riding his bicycle one day. And he stopped and talked to me about a couple of things. And then, you know, then we got to be friends. During the summer, everybody that I knew left, and Lyle and I both signed up for some summer school classes. So we got where we just walked to school every day and just talked, and you know, and then you know, would like play each other's songs that we were working on. It was really a great time.
Do you talk to him much anymore?
I talked to him just the other day because I was looking for something. I forgot what it was, but anyway, no, sure I do. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that seems like it's a relationship that endures. Like you could not see. I have friends that I could not see for years.
Yeah.
I see them and we just pick right back up
Right.
where we were.
Well, it's just like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final question for you, unless you want to add something else, but give much thought as you're bumping around here in your retirement. Again, I'll use quote fingers here.
In my blind man's flea market.
Yeah,
I have.
this is. I love this room. That's why I'm glad we picked this room. But you give much thought to your legacy, like how you want to be remembered.
I don't think no. I don't. I've really never thought about that at all. The only thing that I think about in that way is that some of my songs endure. Right. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for, because I never really had what anyone would call a hit. Like it was a hit like on radio and all that stuff. And there's tons of people that had one hit and you never hear from them again. And I wouldn't want to be one of those people, but at the same time, as far as like being able to have your songs continue, there's a certain amount of radio play or just interest from something beyond just the shows that you play. And I'm not sure I ever got that, so I'm not sure if that they will endure, but that's what I hope they will. I hope so, because I have a lot of pride about how I write, and the longer I've been in this, the more I'm very astute about writing and putting words together in a way that people enjoy the song, but not only that, it provokes a certain feeling, and I at this point, I spend a lot of time on that, actually.
I appreciate your time. I'm just glad you're giving me a compliment for saying I have great chops, but I was a little worried whether I'd get a word out once we sat down. So I appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Steve. Sorry about Handsome here.
No, not at all. We knew enough that he was going to jump up every once in a while.
Yeah.
Keep up to date with all of San Antonio's top news, weather, and so much more by clicking the like and subscribe buttons below. And once again, thanks for watching KSAT.